Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the rise of the microbrands.
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with
Okay, welcome to the show today. Today is going to be a good one. We have a working couple, so this will be interesting. Sumner and Ali Hobart, and we're going to be talking about traveling the world together, working as a husband and wife team, and then we're going to be talking maybe a little bit about YouTube and Pinterest marketing. So join us. Tag a couple people. I think it's going to be a great show, especially if you're a husband and wife team working together. All right, where are you, Kelsey?
How are you doing?
Good. Hey, Manny, how's it going?
Yeah, welcome to the show, Manny. If you're joining the show, toss over. Let us know where you're watching from today. We always love to know. Also, have you ever used any YouTube or Pinterest marketing? Put that in the comment sections. We're trying to gauge and see how you guys are doing with that in 2021. Yes, happy Easter. Welcome, Marcia, to the show. Awesome. Okay, so everyone, let's smash those like buttons, get this thing going. If you're interested in the Facebook group at Lunch with Norm, you can visit us at Lunch with Norm, Amazon FBA, and Ecommerce Collective. We do have a really awesome prize today as well, so stick around for that. We'll have Sumner
It's
and
so
Ali
awesome. I don't even know what it is.
Well, don't worry, you'll find out soon.
All right,
soon
good.
enough. And yes, if you're missing on an episode, if you're catching the tail end of an episode, you can always head over to our YouTube channel, Norman Farrar. That's where all of the content goes. That's full episodes, daily highlights, all the good stuff. And yeah, I think that's about it. Hope you guys enjoy the show. It's going to be a good one. And welcome, Mark, Manny. Oh, I also want to do a quick shout out to a couple people that really helped us out at the Lunch with Norm podcast. Marcia, Faye, Hasnat, Simon, Pedrino, Mark, and Fatiha, and Oleg. Those guys, I reached out on the group because we needed some help with the podcast, and yeah, they came to our rescue. So thank you for that, guys.
Placing me as a host, is that what's happening?
Right.
Okay,
correct.
Because you would probably do that.
The last few episodes, you just were like,
"Oh, I'm sorry."
No,
okay,
yeah.
So now it's your time to get off this screen. Go. All right. So let's get down to it. If you have any comments, just throw it over to the comment section, or if you have any questions, and we'll get to it. But let's sit back, relax, grab that cup of coffee, and enjoy the show. Welcome, Sumner and Ali.
Hi, great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yes. Hey, it's great to have you here. So I don't know what it is like to be working as a husband and wife. My wife and I used to work together for a short period of time, but she kicked me to the curb. So now I'm on my own. But not that we're still together, not that kind of kick me to the curb.
Yeah.
But anyways, why don't we do this? Why don't you explain a little bit of backstory, who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into the podcast today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go ahead. So Sumner and Ali Hobart. Husband and wife team, kind of business-wise, obviously married, of course. And we've been selling on Amazon as well as a lot of other e-commerce endeavors as well that we might get into here, which has kind of allowed us to live abroad. We're currently in La Paz, Mexico, not Bolivia. And we've been kind of traveling around for the past little over a year. And that has actually been able to help us save money, both personally, but then also with our business, and actually kind of reduce certain business expenses, reinvest more, and actually grow faster, which is something I think a lot of people don't kind of think about. And we kind of stumbled across it. And like I said, we can talk more about that, but pretty much just trying to travel as much as possible before kids, constantly learning and all new ways to kind of grow our business, with e-commerce and help others kind of do the same. So we do it, and then whatever works for us, we share it, like YouTube, Facebook group, podcasts, all that kind of good stuff. So that's pretty much it.
One of the benefits that I found, well, at least when traveling, so I can travel and work anywhere remotely, but one of the big benefits was the cost savings. So I had to get some work done on my teeth. And I went to an incredible husband and wife team in Manila. I was in the Philippines, and they were both from LA. So they studied in LA. They had an office there, and then they decided to come back. And man, these guys were incredible. So, you got to do your homework. And I probably saved 75%, at least 75%. Yeah. And so like I'm telling my wife, oh, I can't wait. Like, oh, if I get another root canal, should I fly over? You can't. Don't fly on a root canal. Pressure's not going to do you any favor. But anyways, that's like one thing, that being able to travel around the world, be a nomad, and just work remotely. How do you guys find that? Like, you're in La Paz today. How long are you going to stay there, and when are you going to shift to another country?
Yeah, so here, and especially now kind of with COVID, of course, we're taking all necessary precautions, right. And it's also made traveling much more restrictive. So we have to be, so it almost in one way though makes it easier, because there's only so many places that really make sense to kind of visit or travel, or that we can, as both an American, myself, and then Ali being Brazilian. We're here in La Paz for 1 month. We usually spend about 2 or 3 weeks per place. Like I said, for us personally, we're just really trying to travel to, we have this whole bucket list, go to all these places before, thoughts of having kids, just because it's a little bit easier to do so. But yeah, we look at right now, it's kind of what countries have been open. So far, Brazil, Turkey, Costa Rica, and Mexico. We also look at, we have this whole, I'm very kind of analytical and have this entire kind of Excel file with I look at the safety index per country, the overall development index,
cost of living.
We have a little matrix table where we rate, on a scale of 1 to 5, how much desire do we have to go to this country, just initially based on our own, kind of thoughts. I forget what else. And then we kind of create this, and then basically the file kind of spits out this score. And then the higher the score kind of determines where we may go. We might go next.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But we might, the hope is to go, because Greece is reopening in May. So we're thinking maybe going there.
Yeah, our next big that we really want to explore, we follow this guy called the Nomad Capitalist.
Yes.
Really, really brilliant. And he's all about
reducing taxes.
And all kinds of different entrepreneur benefits of kind of living abroad and dual passports and all this kind of stuff that we're kind of getting into now. But he's mentioned, Serbia, Montenegro, and some of the other Balkan countries, kind of like above Greece, next to Italy, and kind of that area. That's where we're kind of most excited to kind of visit, because it looks really, really interesting. And maybe someone listening that could be, they'll Google and might be appealing to them as well.
Yes.
So does this guy have a website, or how did you get onto him?
I found him on YouTube, and he has a website, Nomad Capitalist. I also bought his book. I haven't finished it yet, but it has the whole blueprint on how to do it, because he tries to give as much information as possible, but obviously it will vary. For us, it's a little bit more complicated because we have different citizenships. So, for example, there's places where you can be an entrepreneur. If you're an American, and you live somewhere else, you still need to pay American taxes. But there are other citizenships where it's territorial. If you're not living in the country of your citizenship, you don't have to pay taxes. You might have to pay taxes where you're living. So there's so many different strategies. And we just started to tap into all of that. It's really, really neat. And it's funny that you mentioned the dental work, because that's what we found too. While we were traveling, we actually, depending on how long we stayed, obviously the longer we stayed in a place, the more we were able to save. And for example, in Brazil, we stayed for 6 months, and we only went to like 3 different Airbnbs.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of got stuck. We flew out.
It was during the pandemic.
Yeah, it was right in March. And
4th, yes.
Yeah, it was at March 4th that we flew out, like right as starting to hear things about like Wuhan and this coronavirus. Okay, yeah, whatever. And we fly in, and then it starts since we got into Brazil, and then it started and we kind of got stuck there, mainly in a place called Florianopolis, Brazil. Yeah. Which is this island in the south of Brazil, kind of near Argentina and Uruguay. And Beautiful place. People
If there's
have
a
no
place-
idea.
There's a place to get stuck. It's
Yeah.
Florianopolis.
Kind of known also as the Silicon Valley of Brazil. A lot of entrepreneurs don't know about it, but there's people we made friends from the Netherlands and South Africa and
Really neat.
a bunch of places.
But anyway, so while we were living, oh yes, Wanderers Wealth. We follow her too, and she's in Mexico too.
Yeah, someone commented Wanderers Wealth, and she's very taxes and all that kind of stuff. And this guy, the Nomad Capitalist, has mentioned that a lot of his kind of clients, and we're not affiliates by the way of him. We just find his content great and want to share. But mentioned that like out of his kind of top 5 clientele or client types, Amazon sellers and kind of e-commerce sellers are one of his top clients. So that's kind of, I'm sure there's some relevancy with, with
but
the
wait,
audience.
just to finish what I was going to say is that when we were in Brazil, we were able to save about 50% of our expenses that we had in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the US. We were spending about 50% of that in Brazil. And when we went to Turkey, we did so much. We moved a lot. We did hot air balloon, paragliding. We travel all the time, rent car rentals. And even with doing all that, we broke even. Like it was the same
as our previous living expenses in
as
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Not doing much, honestly. We didn't do that much in Cincinnati. We just worked.
And then here in La Paz, like you mentioned, and I know with 2 people, I think there's double the amount of talking and information that usually comes out. But we're planning on getting a lot of some blood work done and potentially some dental and some other things here while we're in La Paz, which we always try to do before we stop and visit, family in the U.S.
In the U.S., yes.
Right. And, when you guys are talking about taxes and lowering your taxes, this is not tax avoidance. This is 100% above board. And I know a lot of my friends are doing the exact same thing. They're either traveling around, jumping from country to country, or they're settling into some incredible countries and they just love it and they wouldn't trade it for the world. Now, I'm looking at, I live in Canada, and there are definitely some things that you have to look at. And like for us, we have OHIP. Well, if I travel outside of the country for so many months, that OHIP gets cut off. So there are definitely things you have to take a look at before you just jump to another country. And, I'm sure being an American and being a Brazilian, you'd had to take that into consideration before you'd go. And I'm not sure, what are some things that you'd have to look at before you decided to jump to a different country?
Well, first of all, I'm not only a Brazilian, I'm a green card holder. So that adds an extra step of complication because green card holders don't get all the benefits of being a U.S. citizen. And sometimes you need to do, for me, I cannot be more than 1 year consecutive away from the country. Sumner can. I mean,
how many days?
Not
I'm
related
curious.
to tax.
How many days? So you can't be 1 year, but what happens if you come back 364 days? Do you have to stay 1 day and then you can go off again?
Yes. As a matter of fact, before I was able to renew my green card, I could only do 6 months. So it was 180 days. And we spent in Brazil 178 days, I think. It was right at the cutoff, and it was good.
So we haven't made the full kind of any changes, for example, in residency or dual passports or anything. It's just kind of traveling within our kind of allowance, I guess, and then coming back to the United States and still kind of figure out where exactly we may settle. But Ali is the one, and also in terms of our business, anything logistics wise, probably business wise, as well as personal taxes, finances, all that. She kind of much more organized than myself.
All right. So I'm curious about taxes. All right. So I know my Canadian taxes. I know a little bit about the U.S. taxes. How do you save taxes? How do you not avoid, but how do you?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say. And I'm trying not to stick my foot in my mouth, but adhere and lower your tax rates. What are some ways that that you can tell people some of the things that you've done?
Okay, so if you are I only know more about American taxes because that's what we looked up, in Brazilian. So if you're an American and if you live in the U.S., there's a bunch of ways, like if you have kids, you can pay them. There's a whole different thing. But we were personally researching about living abroad, what that brings you. Hi from Brazil.
Oh, Susan, yeah.
Okay, so here's a few things. One, if you're an American, you always, it doesn't, as long as you're in America, if you don't renounce your citizenship, no matter where you go in the world, you have to pay taxes. It's one of the only countries that does that in the world. So but a way that you can reduce is that if you live somewhere else, you can still claim, and I don't know the specifics, but you can claim, for example, I think it's 110,000 each. For a couple, for example, 110,000 each, you can earn outside of the U.S. and not claim it, not claim it, not have to pay taxes on it. You still have to claim it. You have to tell the U.S. everything, and so that is one way, practical way. Another thing you can do, but you have to be careful not to be double taxed, because let's say you move to a country that is called a territorial tax country. So Brazil, for example, is a territorial tax country. So if you live in Brazil for more than 183 days, then you are considered a resident, even if you didn't apply for a tax resident. So you have to pay in Brazil too. And there's a way that you don't double tax. That's why the U.S. Allowed for that 110,000, is because you probably have to pay in Brazil. But there are countries, and that's the good news. There are countries that are completely tax-free for foreign income. So that is great if you earn money online. I think, for example, Panama is, and Dubai, not Dubai, United, I can say United, yeah, Dubai. But one place that we look into is Portugal. Portugal, you don't have to pay any taxes for 10 years. If you're able to get a certain visa that is a passive income visa. So this is what we're looking into, is that possibly moving to Portugal, still paying our taxes in the US, but less because of that, the allowance of $110,000 each, and not paying in Portugal, even though you live there. And then you get European residency, you're able to travel through Europe. So there's all these different kind of things. If you're open to East Asia, there are lots of possibilities too. I don't know too much about it because we're only researching what really interests us, like specific cases. But definitely, if you're interested, definitely buy the Nomad Capitalist book. And he has a YouTube channel as well. And someone also mentioned Wondrous Wealth. She does consultation. It's a lot more affordable than the Nomad.
And they both have plenty of content on like YouTube, TikTok, and some other platforms.
Yes.
They've been very, very, very helpful. So
we'll have to.
That helped some. I'm sorry if it wasn't too clear.
No, that's fine, and we'll definitely post that information in the show notes as well. So, all right, you're working together, husband and wife. What is that like?
You can start.
So I can, and obviously both of our opinions will be important on this, but
are those, first of all, hold it. Are those nervous smiles I see, or
a little bit? No, coffee. A little bit. I get super jittery with coffee and everything, but no. It's all. I will say, and we're pretty open and transparent. Obviously, we try to be as much with each other, and then also with, fairly open with everyone else online as well. But the beginning was definitely very difficult, and we kind of got started. And of course, our main kind of income stream and main business, kind of what we're known for, is our kind of Amazon business or Amazon FBA business, which has now been expanding, of course, into multiple sales channels and really focus on building a legitimate actual brand, with Amazon being one of our sales channels. But that was about, and you're better with dates.
When we started?
Yeah. When we started.
June 2018. So almost 3 years.
So kind of in 2018 when we started, and basically we were both I was getting honestly depressed with my job. I felt like my skills weren't being utilized to their fullest capacity. I figured one day, I'm like, if I just did even like what I was doing now at kind of this company, and we left on good terms and everything, but I just thought, if I did this myself, could I, make more and enjoy my life better? And I think so. So I left on my own. Ali still had her position at the architecture firm, started doing all this research into how can we make money online? Reading every like blog article, YouTube video, everything I could, subreddits and everything. And for whatever reason, we kind of came across this, thing called Amazon FBA. And for whatever reason, it really stood out to us. And we still don't know exactly why, but in our minds, it made sense, solving a problem in the marketplace, a quantitatively backed problem with a physical product on the largest marketplace, all this kind of thing. I'm like, okay, got, bootstrapped, got all about, I think it was like 7,000 together, launched our first product. First product was successful. We're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. We were kind of skeptical that we were like, maybe this is a scam. Maybe like we didn't tell any friends or family. We're successful, launched a couple more products. And in that process, then we kind of left. So we had like 2 or 3 products out. Ali at that time quit her job. So we were both quit, and we're kind of in that full time with only kind of like 3 products on one, marketplace. And we started to realize the seasonality of some of our products. Yes. So, we had certain, we probably quit a little bit too soon, or maybe a little bit too optimistic. And yes, when the down season kind of came, that was not good for our, our relationship, to be honest. We were definitely, I know I was, and stressed out at each other, stressed out at ourselves. It was really difficult kind of starting off. And a big reason it was difficult one was the kind of the up and down of the business. And it wasn't just, down and then plummeted. It was just the, kind of the inconsistency. But then also was not having, so first of all, not really being clear on our goals with each other, kind of having like, oh, here's kind of my goal and this vision that I had in my head. And then she had a different vision in her head. We were going in 2 different directions, and that was causing,
even
some
working
issues.
on the same business. We were like,
even with the same business, yeah. So kind of different goals, the business fluctuation. And then also there are certain tasks that were kind of like gray areas. It's like, oh, did you do this? It's like, no, I thought you did this. Well, no, that's your job. Well, why isn't my job? So kind of getting to the point to where, we got really clear on our goals with each other and came to agreement. Some, maybe I disagreed with, some I think you may have disagreed with, but ultimately kind of agreed together. Yes. on where we should be going. And then also we literally wrote, it was like a Google Doc of just, all right, here's kind of all the things that we need to execute on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, based on kind of, maybe our, what we're fairly good at, some of our like aptitudes. Here's what you're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. And then we're going to kind of reevaluate maybe in a month or 2 months, and then see if that works. Yes. And then because of those things, so that's kind of the, the downside. And then that's a little bit of what we did to kind of, improve that. But it is, but now it's actually, I think, ultimately strengthened our marriage. Yes. I would say, but I'll let her talk.
So that was a good backstory. And it was really difficult in the beginning, as he said. And to me, what made it so much better was, one, as he said, we kind of sat down like, okay, what is our actual goal? We wanted to make this business work, not like we wanted to use our business to fund our lives. So we wanted to talk about what kind of lives we wanted. So that was actually really important to us, because we had the eyes in the right goal. It wasn't just like, oh, let's make X amount of dollars per year. I'm like, why do we even need X amount of dollars? We were actually focusing on the lives we wanted to live.
Yeah. And I will say this too, just, yeah. I thought of it, and it might be helpful, because something that was very helpful to me is I came across this in, I think it was like one of like Tony Robbins' books, that he mentioned this, but it applies, anywhere. But basically there's this like conference, and then this guy stands up and says, I want to be a billionaire. And Tony's like, okay, why do you want to be a billionaire? It's like, oh, because, I want X, Y, and Z. It's like, okay, let's actually go on this, whiteboard and write down exactly what you want out of life, and like getting really specific and really tactical, and how much realistically would each of these cost. So going through, I want a jet. It's like, why do you want a jet? Oh, Sharon, yay. Anyway, but like, why do you want a jet? Oh, I want to, travel and luxury to these places. I'm like, oh, you can do that by renting instead of owning. And that's 10 times cheaper. So let's write that down. No, I want to own an island. Why do you want to own an island?
Or how
I want to go to so you can rent an island. So it's all these kind of like getting really specific about what you want versus, and really digging like, I think a few levels deep into what you want. And then realize you would need to have, I forget, like $10 million. Still a lot, but a lot less than $1 billion. So just this idea of getting very, very, very specific and honest with what you want out of life. And a lot of times you don't really know what you want out of life. You think you know, and then, kind of trial and error, but.
Yes. But yeah, so for us, we settle on something that we both wanted, which is important if you're a husband and wife, not just like a team, but husband and wife as well. And what made a huge difference was separating the departments. And even if I thought I could do better in something that he was doing, it's not my department. He did it. You know, every once in a while we have meetings and we talk about it, and I ask for his opinion all the time. He asks for my opinion all the time. So we definitely share, but it was so much better to just have him do all of the PPC. I don't even think about it. I don't research anything, because it's also like, time management, but also like your attention. We want, like, at some point, especially because he was doing the YouTube videos, he was researching a lot of things that I was researching, all about logistics, even though I was the one dealing with it. So he just said, okay, I'm going to focus on PPC and finding the best strategies. You focus on finding the best logistics. And that not only helped our business, but helped our marriage and helped our the way that we could help other people, because we were more on top of the information as well. So that is with one of our brands. It's funny because Sharon showed up, and we were also on her podcast, and she talked about like going through the hell phase of working together on any brand. So I feel like we went through that phase already for this business. And then we started our travel business, that it's a whole time of adjustment as well.
Yeah. And just for perspective, because I'm thinking also, maybe I didn't give the best introduction, but yeah, we kind of started off with our own kind of e-commerce business, started seeing success, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is literally changing our lives, like literally able to travel the world and all this. So we started making kind of like YouTube videos and other online content, just kind of talking about, you know, things that we found. And then now we also, so we kind of have that. We have our, you know, kind of e-commerce brand, and then kind of the information around that brand or kind of strategies. And more recently, we've also started a travel kind of brand. So
travel vlog.
A lot of and that's actually really where a lot of our passion is. I don't know kind of where we'll go with that ultimately, but videography and obviously traveling, experiencing new cultures. We've learned a ton. A lot of previous misconceptions we've had about countries or cultures or things it's been very, very eye-opening, and we try to share that as well. Anything that we find that changes our lives, we want to share that. That's like just our overall philosophy. And the same thing goes with kind of travel in different countries. So so we kind of have several things going on. One of the big things on our list for this year is outsourcing. That's like our next, I should say, maybe number 2 big project of this year. Because we've kind of spread ourselves a little bit thin, but it's all good. It's all good.
Yes. But the 2 biggest things that helped us was separating the departments and actually not working together, because we see each other so much, especially us, because we travel and, you know, like sometimes we're in 1-bedroom Airbnbs, you don't know. So we try to work separately and give each other space.
So if I hear you correctly, one of the things that you did is work on your strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
And then you worked, you didn't say it, but you worked with a task board. I'll do this, you do that. I'll do this, you do that. And that makes a lot of sense. I wonder, when you go out to dinner, so you go to a restaurant, I don't know if you can even go to a restaurant in Mexico, but if you go to a restaurant, do you shut it off?
No, because we want to claim it in our taxes. That's not a business.
No, in general, yes. No, in general, yes, we do. Definitely.
No, we don't work on Sundays, so we don't do any work on Sundays.
That was actually one of the most difficult things for us to do, which we never, that was tough. Because as an entrepreneur, it's like this addiction of like, you know, there's always more to be had, or even just this, for me being kind of a perfectionist, I'm like, I want to be, you know, on all these platforms, and I need to be executing on X, Y, and Z because they are, you know, and all of that. So it's a great point that you bring up. I'm sure, you know, maybe you've experienced that to some degree, or at least maybe, you know, when you're younger and everything. But
are you saying I'm old?
No, just experience. I think you have. I mean, and by the way, I didn't mention this at the beginning of the call, but we actually met a while ago, and I know you probably met with a lot of people, but at the Amazing conference in Vegas. I think it was the last one that they had before kind of COVID. It was a guy, was it Thiago, who's Brazilian, and Nicole, his wife. They introduced me. It was, you know, very brief. But they introduced and they talked a lot about you as well and raved about you and kind of all your experience and knowledge. So I know we didn't get that time at the beginning to talk about that,
Yes.
but I know I know your network is, I think, fairly large. So, I understand probably, maybe not remembering
this phase.
No, yeah, no, it's awesome. And that's one of the reasons I go out to a lot of these events and what I'm missing so much right now, because being able to go out there and meet everybody. One thing I completely forgot about, we have a giveaway today.
Yes.
Can you tell us, I mean, we're 30 minutes into it, and okay, what is the giveaway and why is it so great?
Yeah. So our giveaway kind of for this podcast specifically and exclusively is, so we have kind of to help, and we found this out of necessity. We just had basically a bunch of people, we create all this content for free online. We have people messaging us, hey, can you do a one-on-one call with us, like a Zoom call? I can show you my screen with like my Amazon PPC, account and help maybe restructure or help kind of optimize some of these campaigns or help me set up like a shipping plan or whatever it might be. So we're like, okay, let's figure this out. So we now offer kind of paid coaching calls. And for this kind of podcast specifically, we're willing to give away a 1-hour coaching call, kind of about anything that we can help with, logistics.
Anything that we know.
Yeah, anything that we know. You can talk about whatever. You can talk about, whatever you want, but hopefully to help you with product sourcing, product research,
logistics, expanding to new markets, Pinterest marketing, which we just launched a course on that as well. YouTube, I think some people express some interest on YouTube, so it could be Amazon product launches, a pretty wide variety, but 1 hour fully free. I think it's like a $95 value, around $100 value. So
that's fantastic. Okay, so Kels, what fantastic hashtag have you thought up?
Let's do this. Hashtag couple goals.
Hashtag
couple goals in the comment section, and you'll be entered into the draw. So just put the hashtag couple goals, and you'll be entered into a 1 hour consultation for Sumner
And what
Ali.
if somebody wants an extra?
If they want an extra vote, they can tag 2 people in the comment section. So to tag, you hit the @ button and then the person's name. And you'll get 2 entries. So we also do have questions happening right now.
Let's hit those because I'm going to get on to some Pinterest marketing after that.
Okay, great. So let me see who is first. This is from Clive from our Facebook group. Hi guys, tell me about your working day. How do you split your time between work, play, sightseeing, etc.?
Great point.
Great question. That's something, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, you go ahead.
I'll go. Okay. So it was and I didn't realize how kind of addictive kind of entrepreneurship and working was. I never really thought that before, especially working kind of at a more traditional 9 to 5.
When you see results, it's so exciting when you start seeing results.
You can see more and more. So what we had to do is really, and I had to do this with myself. I think we both did this as a couple as well, is sit down and we had to write down a kind of set in stone schedule and stick to it, even if we didn't want to, or even if we, for example, like taking a lunch break / I also have my kind of Nintendo Switch next to me here. Very limited specific break for lunch, my Nintendo right at the middle of the day. At the end of the day, I try to, depending on the area that we're in, either go out for a jog or try to work out here at home, and then kind of relax the rest of the day. So we have certain days where we, on like Sundays, we don't work, we go out on those days. Within our working days, we have very set times that we do not work. And that was the biggest kind of struggle for me was, so I know everyone has different struggles. I know a lot of, I think entrepreneurs or even new entrepreneurs struggle with maybe not working enough. For me, it's the opposite. It's kind of like it can spill in. So setting those boundaries and then sticking to those even when we don't want to, that's been kind of tough, but it's been very good. It's been, I used to get burnout all the time. I just get burnout anyway, have to kind of relax or take a break and even take like 2 days off or 3 days and then get back into it. And then it was just this terrible cycle. And I was kind of like miserable just in myself. So I had to setting these kind of breaks daily and then also, resting on the Sabbath. That's been very, very helpful for us and sticking to it.
And I heard a tip yesterday about smoking cigars, taking longer cigar breaks.
Oh, yes.
I saw your Instagram story.
I was about to say, I have no idea what you're talking about. I was like, what?
It's an internal joke, inside joke.
Yeah, inside joke.
But yeah, no, it's true. We try to stick. It is a little bit difficult because for example, I deal with suppliers, so I have to work later in the day. Usually, it's the time that they are up. So we have to do kind of different work schedules too, which is actually good for our marriage. He has his own break time. I have my own break time. But at the end of the day, we do have time together. Like we watch TikToks. We have our time together. But then I sometimes need to split my attention with suppliers and something else.
Yeah,
but
so we kind of have our own schedules, and then respecting each other's schedules is very
we try to email each other as much as possible to not interrupt during the time, because sometimes unless it's urgent, but we try to make it like efficient too, like in a business way, not just, I don't know, like we live together and work together and messy. We try not to make it messy. He's better at it than me.
That's a great point. Just, emailing or texting.
Yes.
Get the message done, because if you get up from your computer, walk over, start to talk, something else will come up. But, the way that you're working with it right now, that's great, having to cut it back, and you have your boundaries. Sundays, we're taking it off. I found with a lot of probably on the other side of it, if somebody's learning to work remotely, even with couples or just solo, you get into the routine of, okay, I'm working. Oh, you know what? I'm going to take lunch, and there's a show on that I'll watch. Or like for me, Judge Judy, she comes on. I'm a Judge Judy-aholic. And then all of a sudden you're watching 2 Judge Judys, and I'll just watch the second Judge Judy. And all of a sudden your time starts to get eaten up. Now what I do is I record all Judge Judys, but but it really can affect the way that you work remotely, and there is discipline. Yeah, take your breaks, but you have to have discipline to to fall back on. If it's taking a break at a scheduled time in your calendar, or when you go upstairs, and have lunch or whatever, you have a set time. A lot of people fall into that trap, and their 8-hour day, all of a sudden becomes a 4-hour day, and they wonder why they're not getting their job done.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So Kels is tasked to come on when the question ends and ask another question.
I can boot you off this. Just be careful. Okay, let me see. Okay, from Daniel. He was from Brazil. How do you build credit in the USA, being a nomad? What is your understanding about physical presence and nexus on Amazon business model?
Okay. Does he say physical presence in terms of, I'm trying to understand if he means the whole warehouse thing. Is that the physical presence, or us person?
Probably you as a person.
Okay. Yes. No, physical presence. How to build credit in the USA. I don't know if it's like financial.
So I think I get it. So if you're in the Philippines right now, and you need to have a U.S. bank, or you want to get a phone from Verizon or whatever, they're going to check your credit score. How do you build that if you don't have an address to provide, a U.S. address to provide in the U.S.?
Okay, so I don't know in terms of credit for like loans and things like that, but in terms of physical address, we are a nomad right now. We do have family there, so some things we do use his family address, but you as a person, okay. But you can purchase a virtual address. You in any zip code, pretty much, I think you can choose. And you can purchase a virtual address. You can even get mail there. You just have to pay for a subscription. They will take photos. Like it's up to 30 packages or 30 mail, 30 envelopes or something like that. So you can purchase an address in the US, and then if you need that to open a bank account, though sometimes they might ask for utility bills. So I don't really know about that, to be honest, because we have already we established our business. We were living there. So when we opened everything, we had all of these documents to back it up. But I do know that you can purchase the address. I don't know in terms of utility bills what you can do. Some people, I do know, they partner with your supply. If you have warehouse facilities, sometimes that you're able to partner with them. And Norm, maybe you know that more than we do, actually. But in terms of being a nomad, you have to research your citizenship and how long you need to be there. Most likely, it's not, you can be away from the US either for more than 180 days or for more than 365 days in order to establish physical presence. And you have to get a stamp. I remember when we were going to Costa Rica, we went through the US, but they didn't stamp my passport. So I don't even think that was considered that would consider the physical presence. But yeah, Norma, if you have anything else, I don't know if in terms of establishing businesses, not having some of these American documents to back it up.
Yeah, there are, like you said, virtual companies that can do this. And I'm not talking about UPS, getting a PO box.
No,
that's not what I'm talking about. There are companies that are specific that will do this for you, that you'll have, they'll be able to receive mail, send mail out. The other point to this, some people think when they open up a company and they register, let's say in Delaware or in Wyoming or wherever, that they have a registered agent. And that registered agent is going to be their address for their bank and for, mail. And it is absolutely not. I don't know a single registered agent that will receive your mail, or you cannot. If there is, it'd be news to me. But, some people think that they can use that as their bank address, and it's absolutely not. You have to do that separately. So just kind of keep that in mind when if you've opened up something in Wyoming, you've got to find a different solution other than your registered agent. Your registered agent might be able to help you out if you contact them about places and locations within Wyoming. And now the other thing, excuse me, I use, so there's a few, like if I need let's say that I'm setting up Google My Business, or I'm setting up something that needs an area code, I'll use an app called Hushed, HUSHED.com, just Hushed app. And you can get specific area codes for next to nothing. And you can also, what is it? MSVOP or VoIP MS or MS VoIP. But I just find Hush is so easy. It just costs you a couple of bucks, and you get a telephone number that you can text and just call from. So, anyways, next question, Kels.
All right.
Somebody's saying my sound is low. Is my sound low?
It sounds okay on here, but sometimes on Facebook it sounds a little different. So
right.
You might want to
just play around with this.
All right. Our next question from Manny: when and what was the first hurdle in growing your FBA business after a couple of months?
You talk about it.
Biggest hurdle. What was our biggest hurdle? Kind of starting off.
I think it was that giveaway. The biggest hurdle. Hurdle, you mean like difficulty?
Yeah, but just in general, not for like us specifically, but just in terms of, and it could be, I guess, for us specifically.
I think I would say that we bought the course and we thought that covered everything.
Yeah, no, but I'm trying to, biggest hurdle. One of the biggest things I will say, and maybe hopefully this answers the question. I'm trying to make, not just for us specifically, but what would be, maybe the best information for this question specifically is that, and Kevin O'Leary of, Mr. Wonderful of Shark Tank mentioned this as well. I think it's very practical, simple advice. But he said there's a misconception that, entrepreneurship is like jumping into the water. He's like, no, it's not. It's, working really hard, when you still have your kind of more stable 9-to-5 job or whatever it might be, and growing it until it makes sense for you to leave that. And for us, I think that was maybe what caused maybe multiple hurdles and something to be avoided. And it's something that I know we've got a lot of questions about, and we try to share as much as possible because we believe it's a much better strategy to build out. It just means working harder while you're at your current kind of occupation, and then leaving once it's, significantly more stable. We left, I think it was after our second product launch, or even our
second. It was after the second.
So yeah, second product launch. We would have probably launched a few more. We would have expanded to more marketplaces, just had a little bit more kind of stability, and at least maybe, had it run a full year so we can see the seasonality before kind of quitting. So that was one of the biggest, that caused so many other hurdles. Another thing too, though, that it's just a personal strategy. We're not financial advisors and we're not advising this, but especially for our first product, we bootstrapped everything. We did not take out debt. We did not, I personally would never do that myself. We bootstrapped, and then for kind of second product, all the profit generated from our first, we reinvested. Where I think a lot of people get in the mindset of like, oh, good, I'm generating this, and then we can get all into cash flow and profit and how important it is to actually know your true profit and really ultimately know your cash flow every month. But kind of taking that and then, spending it or, enjoying it, but kind of reinvesting that and really thinking more about the long term, keeping in mind that it will take, some time. And I think that's the biggest
I think that
hurdle
was
or
a
issue.
Good point. Was cash flow. We figured out what cash flow was.
You had to.
It wasn't just profit.
We're like, wait, so we're generating profit. Where's our money? But it's tied up because the longer your lead times are and the higher kind of your the amount per order, your money gets kind of tied up, and you're like, it's constantly going out that you're like, wait, where's it? And especially with, Amazon paying every 2 weeks. That's why, maybe having a Shopify site or another kind of website with Stripe and get those payments significantly faster, and being on Etsy and eBay and all that is important. So definitely diversified, and then also time is just keep in mind that it will. We quit a little bit too soon, and that caused, I think, a number of hurdles at the beginning that ultimately we overcame that by, I guess, we launched more products. We learned about cash flow and profit.
We researched a lot of information.
Researched a lot, but there's definitely some headaches at the beginning.
I found that probably one of the biggest hurdles I had was trying to be a perfectionist. And, especially in e-com, not so much Amazon, but both, that if you're waiting for the perfect picture or the perfect website or your website to, like Shopify site or WooCommerce site, to be perfect, and you needed to have 12 blog articles and you needed this many, and your packaging, launch, develop V2, so version 2. Launch version 2, get on to version 3. And it's always going to be evolving, but there's a lot of people that just what if everything to death and nothing gets done.
Yes.
Very true. Yeah, that's what I know. I think it's like Mark Zuckerberg, or at least Facebook, done is better than perfect. And it's like the co-founder of LinkedIn mentioned, what was it? And that same thing with me. I definitely struggle with that even today, and hopefully I've been improving in that. But if you're happy with the product that you launched, meaning it could be software, physical product, whatever, you've waited too long. If it's perfect, you've waited too long. You're too slow to bring it to market. So I definitely agree with that. And especially I find that advice, there's all different kinds of people. I think there's those that are more perfectionists, others that are more kind of, according to, the Colby kind of personality test, quick starts that are just, let's get it done. So for perfectionists, I think that's great advice. And that's definitely for me. And that's, and for other people, I know it's like, all right, I'm just going to use images from my supplier for this Amazon listing. I'm like, no, like it needs, you need to put some effort into this. So there's all different kinds of people, but for the many perfectionists out there, I agree 100%.
Yeah. Before we get to the next question, Kels, if you're going to do that, I just want to let everybody know. So we've got a giveaway today. If you haven't entered it yet, please enter it. It's for a 1-hour session with Sumner and Ali, and it's basically anything. We're on a topic today about working together as couples, but both of these two are really great at business. So they have their Amazon and they have off Amazon websites. So you can talk to them about anything. And that is #couples goal. Does that sound right?
Yeah, couple goals.
All right. So I was close. All right. Now, Kelsey, next question.
All right. So this is a bit of a book, but we'll get through it. So to be clear, if I sell physical products online, mostly Amazon USA and my website, and I am a US citizen, but I live outside the US a certain number of days, I can personally earn up to 110,000 and not pay any taxes on that in the USA.
Disclaimer,
I would imagine,
disclaimer.
Disclaim,
these are
exactly.
questions,
That's
yeah.
what I was gonna say.
I would imagine my LLC would still owe taxes just the same, correct? Thanks.
Yeah, what I would say is I'm not going to give any legal financial advice. This is just, honestly, this is just information that I'm sharing from the book that I read. And I may not know all of the details regarding that, the 110,000 per person. So I would definitely ask a CPA about that. I'm so sorry. I hate to be the one to answer like, oh, it depends, or I don't know, but I'm not going to, because I might lead you in the way that it's wrong. So, but I will say that if you are a US citizen living outside of the USA, you will have to pay some taxes. You have to file taxes for sure. Now, what you can get exemption, it is different. It could be different depending on how long you're outside of the USA.
Right. So one of the things, Kyle, Kelsey, I don't know if you can put this up, but if you contacted Xanadu, Lil Roberts, so she's got a professional tax consultant that can work or at least answer a question for you. If you just let her know that you were listening to Lunch with Norm and you contact Lil at Xanadu.com. They are an incredible accounting firm that specializes in e-com and Amazon accounting, and they have a tax special. I forget his name. I think it's Lewis. Anyways, just ask Lil, and you'll get pointed over to the tax department, and I'm sure he'll be able to answer that for you. Okay, next.
And also, I want to mention, if you are interested in e-commerce accounting, Lil was on the show. And I'll put the link in the comment section. Yeah. Okay. So I believe there was one more question. This is kind of a big question.
Right.
I'm not sure if we'll be able to go too deep into this, but it's from Peter. What is your method for product research?
He loves talking about this.
This is one of my favorites. So that's kind of my background is all, quantitative research from college.
Just one sec before you get into that. So by product research, are we talking about product opportunity?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you're asking him or asking me.
No, I'm asking you. Sorry, Sumner.
Oh.
Yeah. No, you're fine. Yeah. So yeah, that's the first kind of step is, and I prefer more market research than product research. But yes, exactly. Product kind of, I know that we use a lot of language in kind of the Amazon FBA community, kind of simplify a little bit more complex concepts, but I do like to be more specific and clear. So basically identifying an unsolved problem in either one marketplace or multiple marketplaces. For example, and one of my favorite strategies that I'll kind of share, I have to be careful I'll share it. It's something that it's our number one, it's super valuable, but it's kind of two things. It's sort of like, it's like a form of arbitrage to where two things. It's very, very, very simple. But number one is we identify, so we use Etsy heavily, and we sell mostly in the Amazon US market. We also sell in Canada, Mexico, UK, and we're expanding into other marketplaces as well. So obviously these marketplaces also utilize, Etsy a lot. Etsy's large in these markets as well. We'll look at products that sell really well on Etsy, for example. So we can literally look at, we can see total reviews for a shop on Etsy and then reviews for a product. So we kind of know that, and then we can see the total sales. So we're like, okay, we know that, this percentage of reviews for the entire stores for this product. So there's likely we multiply that kind of result by the total sales. So we can get an estimate. Okay, here's the total reviews for this product, total sales for this product. So we can get a pretty fair estimate of, what product in a particular category sells best on Etsy. Then we just head over to Amazon, type in on Amazon for that specific either design, color, whatever it might be. And we look and we're like, okay, this is selling well on Etsy. There are no options on Amazon. And we never copy. We do not recommend copying. It's not what we do. But we use that as inspiration. We're like, this is interesting. Then we'll look at Google keyword data. There's plenty of free tools and there's other paid tools as well, to where what we do is look at, when we see kind of an interesting product opportunity that we want to dive more into. For example, I'll just use taco holders. We'll look at, red, yellow, green, blue, taco holder set of 2, 3, 4, 5, all of these long tail kind of variants. And we'll look at the associated kind of Google search volume, because it's, I think, around 40% of product sales online begin on Google, where it's like, I forget what the percentage is for Amazon off the top of my head right now, but it's obviously Amazon's more, but still a huge percentage of people are searching for products on Google. And then the benefit with using Google keywords instead of just Amazon is it kind of widens your view, and you can see, okay, people, because Amazon, if you're only looking keywords there, it's going to be a little bit more limited. And there's, Amazon obviously a while ago stopped kind of giving out their keyword volume, and, all these tools kind of rely on estimates. So with Google, we kind of look at, okay, what long tail variants, and a lot of times that bestseller kind of, for example, on Etsy, let's say it's like a yellow taco holder. I'm just making that up. And yellow taco holder has the highest search volume on Google over red, orange, and all the other color variants. But then I go to Amazon, I type in yellow taco holder, and there's 0 options. I'm like, this is interesting. And obviously there's a lot more questions. We want to make sure that we're not infringing on any, utility or design patents, depending on the product, any trademarks.
And I'll also say that we do not go for super competitive products. We are not jade roller sellers or anything like that. So in terms of an overall strategy, we stay within markets that are less competition, and we try to give out the best of the best, like premium product, to where most of our products have become like easily the best seller because it's not a lot of competition and we over deliver in value and quality.
Yeah, but so just to kind of recap, heavily use Etsy and Google. What either keywords or specific products are people buying or searching for in high enough volume that have either 0 options on Amazon or very weak competition. And that's just the overall for identifying product opportunities. Obviously there's more to that. It's not just, all right, and then we move forward. We want to look at, reach out to suppliers. Is this going to be profitable? Is this going to meet our kind of, our specific kind of, we look at lead time and cash flow and all that kind of thing as well. But that's a good kind of just an overall of how we kind of get started and use some actual quantitative data instead of just kind of guessing. And obviously you can run survey data as well and use sites like PickFood to, maybe A/B test images, like, hey, what product images or what product design resonates best with you, and so on. But that's kind of the overview that I think a lot of people don't talk about.
Do you check Pinterest?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Sorry, we should mention that as well. We yes, we definitely do. We like Etsy because we can kind of, and it gets very simple. We have that kind of solid data or fairly solid of there's likely, a pretty solid estimate of sales per listing. So we can kind of see which is the best seller. And obviously if Etsy shop has, a lot of positive feedback, more so than others, we know that if they're really good at selling, X, Y, and Z products, they're likely also good at selling, W product. Yeah. But yes, Pinterest, absolutely. Pinterest is especially great for a lot of reasons, both for marketing, product research, but especially for design. When we're kind of tripped up, and again, we don't ever copy designs. That's not what we do, and we do not recommend that. We don't just launch Me Too products. We use it as inspiration. So for example, we look at characteristics, like if it's taco holder, maybe we'll type in, depending on the product, but we'll go to Pinterest, type in taco holder, and look at some kind of interesting designs that either maybe they have a high number of saves, or just kind of look appealing to where it can begin the rest of our research. Okay, let me look at the Google keyword volume for this. But we pick out attributes from the image. So chevron design is there's a crescent moon on there. There's different material. Yeah, things like that.
Yeah. So we get it for inspiration, and then we try to validate it through keyword research. We don't try it. We do it. Otherwise, we don't launch the product.
Right. What about, you talked about Google research and keywords. So you can use the free Google Keyword Planner, which is a little bit more difficult than what it used to be. You used to be able to log in. Now you've got to set up an AdWords account and then dig into it that way. But do you use any other types of keyword research tools to help you with your decision?
Yes. So specifically what I use, and again, I'm not really an affiliate, not really pushing it, but I use the Mangools tool. After a lot of research, I found that was, and specifically,
I've never heard of it. Yeah,
the Mangools keyword, and a lot of people haven't. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not like this Google kind of SEO expert. That's something that we're at all. It's another area of learning and all of that. But based on my research, at least at the time, I was like, okay, I want a really accurate tool for kind of the Google platform that shows that's able to do X, Y, and Z. It does very specific things that I want it to do. And it is a paid tool. I know the guy, I think he might've been on, I'm not sure, but a guy named Joe Reichfeld. He personally mentioned to me, he saw a video that I made on YouTube and commented he gives great info. What is it? Oh shoot, I just installed it. It's a Chrome extension. It's free. Keyword Surfer, SEO Surfer. Oh wait, shoot, it's right here. Hold on. It's on my, I have my laptop right in front of me. Keyword Surfer, the Keyword Surfer Chrome extension. I just started using this based on his recommendation. So far, I really like it. That's a free tool that you can use.
And also Uber Suggest.
Yeah, Uber Suggest is another free kind of Google.
Yeah, that's
tool.
Neil Patel's, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And then aside from kind of Google, so that's all Google. I also like to use Helium 10 and Seller Tools for Amazon keyword volume just to kind of validate. And a lot of times you'll find similar. And what I like to see for our product research, like when we see, okay, is this product viable? Obviously, there's two big questions that we want to answer. And that is, how much demand is there for this product opportunity? And then how much competition is there? And we love low competition. It's so easy. Launch is easy. We're not getting, our listings hijacked because, it's like too small. And then if we have, let's say a $10,000, $20,000 budget to launch new products, instead of launching maybe like one or two, we can launch several. And within those listings, several variations, we're more diversified. Yeah. So there's multiple reasons we do that.
And I will say, oh, no, you can finish.
I was just going to say, what we do is, we look at Etsy, we look at Pinterest, we look at Google keyword volume, we look at, estimated sales volume if there are existing options, using like Helium 10 or Viral Launch Seller Tools, keyword volume on Amazon, and try to see consistencies of kind of in terms of demand at least, high points. They're like, okay, it's the best seller on Etsy and it's a highly saved pin on Pinterest, and there's very good keyword volume on Google and there's good keyword volume on Amazon. We're like, oh my goodness, yeah, kind of this thread that kind of goes through. And literally we have like a Google sheet or an Excel file where we have each of these kind of columns and we fill that out with each product opportunity. And certain ones just kind of really stand out. And then from there, we'll partner with suppliers and start getting better estimates of, can we source this profitably, and all of that.
But one thing I was going to say, because we mentioned Etsy a couple of times, and I love Etsy so much, it does make sense for our products. Like I was just telling someone, if you sell a garlic press, you're probably not going to be successful on Etsy. People are looking for that interesting, unique kind of products. And but what I will say is that that was something that we saw. We started expanding to other marketplaces, not only Amazon, Canada, UK, and all that, but Etsy, and we started our own Shopify store and all that. And we noticed that some products that don't even sell as well on Amazon US sell really well on Etsy or for a higher price, or sell really well for some reason on Amazon Mexico. We have one product that barely sells on Amazon Canada, but sells really well on Amazon Mexico.
And it's things that, we wouldn't really expect. We're like, and that's what it's always testing. You never know, even with all the data, data doesn't tell you. It's just kind of,
so
it can guide you, but
it's a great way to start expanding without needing a ton of extra logistics, especially if you sell in the US, you can do the North American thing. And within Etsy, you can ship it within the same country. You can use Amazon FBA to ship it to fulfill the Etsy orders too. So that's how we started on Etsy. And now we are partnering with other logistic companies, but it's an easy way that really helped us diversify and also realize that there are better products for certain platforms. And now we're thinking about getting an Etsy store for very specific products that we don't necessarily sell on.
That might actually be a future kind of like a case study that we might create we have our main brand and then creating a whole separate brand, maybe like geared toward entrepreneurs or print on demand, things like that. And just running some tests and things like that. But anyway, that's another story.
Yeah. There's one other tool that I can tell you that works great. And it is called keywordtool.io.
Keywordtool.io.
Yeah, it's fantastic. If you're looking for Google, Bing, they have a ton of keywords. YouTube, it is a paid platform. You can get a small amount of keywords under their free, but it's $99 a month. It's also pretty cool if you're looking into Google specific. But yeah, I like that Neil Patel's tool that you were talking about.
Yes, it's really good.
Now the other, and I guess unless there's any other questions,
we do use a VPN, by the way.
Okay.
There's a question on the screen. Yeah. Do you use a VPN? Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Always.
Like all the time. Anytime we access Amazon, like pretty much at this point, anywhere, we turn on our VPN first, then we'll log in, and knock on wood, we haven't had any issues, with Amazon suspicious activity, anything like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've even, like with my managed services, I use a VPS. It's a little bit slower, but it for me, it provides safety. I know Amazon says it doesn't matter anymore, but.
And VPN is also good because sometimes you can access certain things like Pinterest, for example. You can only access certain features if you're either in the US or the UK.
Right.
So us being Mexico, I just have to turn on the VPN and I can access that too.
Okay, well, last question from me anyways. So you go and you find out this really great product opportunity, the gnome. Okay. Now you have to, do you ever get into product innovation? Because Kevin King was on just the other day and he was saying, if I'm putting anything new on Amazon, it's the only thing, there's absolutely no just, buy whatever everybody else is buying. I am innovating. I'm doing something to it that is going to be unique to me. Do you have that same kind of train of thought?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Be unique on every single, be unique in multiple points. So find a way, obviously, utility, either because there's points of parity and then points of differentiation. So kind of like what are your competitors executing on well? You need to make sure that you do as good or better. And then obviously on top of that, you need to make sure that you're doing something different. Otherwise, use common sense, go, and a lot of people, or especially newer kind of sellers, they view this kind of whole, for lack of a better word, Amazon FBA, journey, or, selling products on Amazon is almost like this magic box, but it comes down to it's a lot of steps and there's a lot to take into account. But when you kind of just think about it from the perspective of your customers, like if you're, prospective customer, and first of all, write down a customer avatar, know who your target audience is. You go on Amazon, they type in a specific product. Let's say that you do happen to get to the first page, even with all of the competition and all of that, and they see your product. Why would they click on yours and then ultimately choose you over your competitors? And that kind of forces you to, so yeah, absolutely. And what we do, and there's a lot of ways, because I know Steven Seelkoff and others really, innovate kind of like new inventions or kind of very new products. We have a product designer friend who does that. Literally, he's an inventor. He patents things and all of that, and very, very successful. And we're actually helping him get on Amazon FBA and kind of sell his own instead of working for companies to innovate for, which is really awesome. For us, especially for newer sellers, we find that, it's kind of like you could clear your own path through the jungle, or there's already kind of this rough path that's a lot easier to clear. So we'll never launch like a product that's almost identical. We will, however, if there's, for example, keyword volume about a very specific kind of long tail variant and there's no options, we're like, okay, bingo. We know people are searching for this and no one can find it.
And review. We rely heavily on reviews of existing products. And that's our guide to how we're going to make our product different. We don't create, let me create something completely out of nothing. We get the idea of the product itself based on keywords. Then we look at the bestsellers. Then we look at the reviews for those bestsellers, and specifically like the 4-star reviews. They say like, oh, this is great, but
4-star reviews are gold. I was actually working on a software that now it's not gone anywhere, that it would specifically analyze 1 through 4-star reviews and specifically identify, okay, after the words, but what are those key phrases after those words, like in a large quantity, so you could quickly see. And I know Helium 10 has a free tool that I love using. The keyword, or the review insights tool. It's a free Chrome extension, review insights, super helpful. It's basically a word cloud organized as a table. So you can see the most frequently cited, the most frequently used words or phrases within kind of this conglomeration of reviews, along with your associated average review rating. So you can just kind of pop open the tool, quickly look and be like, okay, look at all the, anything that's below, 4 stars or below. What are people saying about this? And for example, for one of our competitors, we found stinks, smells terrible. For whatever reason, they had their product, it was shipped by sea. Something happened, got moldy, got super smelly, got shipped out. And people wrote negative reviews, and that was our top competitor. They had a bunch of great reviews beforehand, had this bad batch. So our first bullet point was zero smell.
Yeah.
That
Does
because
not
we
stink,
know the
no mold.
consumers, I forget what the percentage is, but we know they're looking at their reviews. Yeah, so, and that, or at least that was one of our bullet points, and it's, that product has been successful as well. So yeah, review, looking at definitely Amazon review data is a free data source and hugely underutilized for identifying if your strategy is kind of, you have the overall product idea or opportunity and kind of want to differentiate, which of course you should be in some way, just because basically when someone searches for your product, why would they buy? You want to figure out why someone would buy and then do it. And that's our strategy. So the Helium 10 tool is really helpful with that, just reading through Amazon reviews. But otherwise, yeah, in terms of kind of completely new inventions of just like, this is new. Like, I know that there's a pain point about this. I'm going to invent a new product to solve that pure just pain point. We're not as familiar with that. That might be something later down the road that we will do, like launch a Kickstarter and all of that. But for right now, it's honestly doesn't really make sense. It's for us a little bit more efficient in our current process, but
okay. So Peter, I hope that helped out and answered your question.
Hopefully.
Okay. So I think that's it for today. If you haven't got hashtag couples goals, make sure you put it in within the next few seconds and you'll be entered in for a free 1-hour consult with Sumner and Ali. All right. So how do people get a hold of you?
Yep. Just search for us on, I think we're on, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. We're going to get back on Instagram. You can just type in Sumner Hobart. It was mostly me kind of creating the content. Ali's now been great in producing more. But yeah, YouTube, Facebook group, TikTok. We're on all those platforms.
Now you're
the Amazing Escape Plan as well.
Yes.
Yeah, but you see our names here and just type it
or
in.
our travel channels is Hobart's Abroad if you're interested.
Yeah, so if you're interested in like our travels and all that, which I know is a totally different category. If you're interested, Hobart's Abroad, just our last name and then abroad, and mostly YouTube and Instagram for that, and TikTok. So
fantastic. All right, Kels, let's get the wheel.
It's that time. All right,
that time.
Here we go.
It's time for the Wheel of Elsie.
Okay.
That was fun.
That's awesome.
Okay, so a bunch of entries. And
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Who's going to win today?
All right, wheels spinning.
Oh, I think Mark gets it.
Mark.
All right, Mark. Congrats.
Yay!
All right, so I already have Mark's information, so
Yep.
I'll connect us with an email, Mark and Sumner and Ali, and we can all figure that out off air. But thank you, everyone. That was great.
Thank you so much.
Sumner,
sorry
Ali-
if we talked too much.
Oh, no, it was perfect. Stick around after the podcast. I just wanted to catch up with you. But as for now, Sumner Ali, thank you so much for being on. Congratulations, Mark. I think the
Thank you
wheel's
so
rigged.
much.
I think
Thanks
the
for
wheel
having
is
us.
rigged.
It was a pleasure.
You're
yes,
very
thank you. Welcome.
That was great.
All right, everybody. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast today. Kelsey, what do you got to say?
Okay, so if you're catching the tail end of the show, that's okay. You can go over to our YouTube channel. It's Norman Farrar, and that's where you can find the full episode along with any highlights. We've got the whole catalog. I think this was episode 125, something like that. So There's a whole catalog of episodes that you can go check out. Also, please smash those like buttons too if you haven't already. Let me see. I think that's
Subscribe,
pretty much it.
ring a bell, do whatever you have to do.
Ring the bell. Yeah, we'd really appreciate if you can subscribe to the channel on YouTube. We'd like to grow that a little more. Also, we do have a contest. I'm thinking probably next week. I have to discuss.
It's going to
with
be a big
Norm.
one.
Yeah, but even maybe 2 contests.
Well, yeah,
possibly,
it's going to be for people within the group. So make sure you sign up for the group, and then people outside of the group.
Yeah. So
Kelsey just has to do work. He doesn't like working too much, after hours.
Yeah.
So he's pushing it aside. But next week we will definitely have that going. Now, on Friday, I've got a good buddy of mine coming on, and his name's Daniel DeMassa. If you have not heard of him and his partners have sold over 1 billion that's with a B, dollars worth of t-shirts. And he's going to come on. He's going to talk about branding. He's also got his own podcast, which is pretty cool. But how about this? You know, you think your brand's okay and you're doing really well. Well, how about people volunteering to have your brand tattooed on their body? And not one or two, but hundreds or over 1,000 people, you know, putting your brand on your body. Now that's a following. That's a brand story. So Daniel has a brand he's going to talk about, and people love putting their brand on on their body. So we'll get into that. But anyways, I think that's it for today, Kels.
I think so. I just want to say, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you guys. Head over to the Facebook group if you're interested in those contests. Also, just part of the community. I think we've got a really great group. And I love interacting with you guys. If you've got a funny meme, throw it on over there. But
of Kelsey.
Or Nard.
The last one, oh man, I got to get back to
you. I got a good response.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
All right. But thank you guys.
So join us every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. And like Kelsey was saying, thank you so much for being part of the community, watching the podcast. If you have any suggestions for guests, just let us know. And that's it for today. We'll see you next time.
Lunch with the